Hello, everybody. My name is Haley Gibson. I'm a registered nurse and functional nutritionist. I work alongside Dr. David Jockers, and we help people overcome their health obstacles in order to live their lives to their fullest potential. Today, I just want to talk to you a little bit about adrenal fatigue. This is an extremely common underlying root cause of disease that affects the majority of Americans. I myself experienced adrenal fatigue when I had my own health issues, so I understand how to overcome this as well as how it feels to go through it. The American lifestyle is to be superhuman, the best mother or father, the best performer at work, the best athletic performer, the best at everything that we do. And this mindset of being ambitious is great. However, when we overtax our system by putting too many demands on ourselves and combine this with the increase in exposure to high amounts of pesticides, chemicals, pathogens, and other toxins that we have seen since the industrial boom, this produces an overwhelming and stressful effect on the body. This sets the stage for disease to set in. Our bodies are well equipped to handle stress until we hit the point of having too much stress. Our adrenal glands are responsible for the majority of our stress response and produce over 50 essential hormones for our health. So we will be discussing this organ today. Before we get started, I wanted to share a little bit about who I am so that you know who you are listening to. As I said earlier, my name is Haley Gibson. In the top left corner, you can see the picture that is posted on drjockers.com. In the picture under that, on the left side, you can see me with my parents at the lake. We were wakeboarding and having some fun together that day. If you look to the right, you can see my boyfriend, Brett, there with me. I'm a paramedic, and I am super proud of all that he does for our community. Over to the right of that picture, you can see us at a Savage race. For those of you who like to run and challenge yourselves, I highly recommend this 5-mile race with 25 obstacles. It's a blast. Up above that picture, you can see what a typical Monday night looks for me. I call this my social outing. We are part of a group of 100 to 150 friends who run up the mountain while doing lots of different exercises as we go. It is free and every Monday night, so if you're local, please feel free to join us on Kennesaw Mountain. So anyway, that's enough about me. Let's dive into the adrenal glands. What exactly are the adrenal glands? If you look at this picture, you can see a kidney, which looks like a kidney bean, and up above it, you see a fatty yellow-looking substance. This is the adrenal gland. This organ is responsible for helping the body adapt to stress and produces over 50 hormones that are essential for our health. When our adrenals are overstressed, they burn out and crash. This results in the symptoms that we see here. The most common symptoms are fatigue and inconsistent energy. Some other major issues people will often experience include feeling really tired around 2 to 4 p.m., but getting another kick of energy in the evening and then having no sleep or poor quality sleep at night. These are often early signs that you are moving towards adrenal fatigue and the body is rewiring its physiological processes. Just look at the symptoms listed. How many people do you know with these? Are you one of them? Symptoms such as low energy, inability to lose weight, anxiety, sexual dysfunction, insomnia, weak immune system, wired and tired feeling, depression, chronic pain, hypoglycemia, and cravings for sugar and salt are things that the majority of Americans struggle with. Think about our highly demanding lives, what we come into contact with, what we breathe in, and the quality of what we eat. All of these things wear out our adrenal glands. Adrenal fatigue can be the cause of major diseases or it could be the secondary to another disease process. There are two major parts of the adrenal gland, the cortex and the medulla. These different parts are responsible for producing different hormones. We're going to look at 4 of the major categories of hormones produced. So first, there's the mineralocorticoids, produced in the cortex, or the outer part of the adrenal gland. The main hormone produced is known as aldosterone. This plays a role in regulating sodium and water retention, which is one of the body's ways of controlling our blood pressure. When we have adrenal fatigue, we can see fluctuations in the production of this hormone. Too little is present, we can see our sodium levels, fluid retention, and blood pressure drop, and our potassium levels go up. When too much is present, We can see sodium and fluid retention, which results in high blood pressure and sometimes lowered levels of potassium, which can be dangerous. This can lead to heart arrhythmias. So next, let's look at glucocorticoids. The main hormone here is cortisol. Its responsibilities include increasing blood sugar and decreasing inflammation. Consistent elevations in cortisol is where we see problems start to arise. This elevation results in elevated blood sugar levels and weight gain around the stomach area. We will discuss this hormone in more depth in a minute. Next, we have our sex hormones and their precursors. DHEA and pregnenolone are the precursors necessary for the production of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. These hormones regulate sexual dysfunction, mood, menstrual cycles, muscle building, fat storage, and a lot more. The last group of hormones that we're going to quickly discuss are the catecholamines. These are produced in the adrenal medulla, which is the inner part of the adrenal glands. Catecholamines include epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, norepinephrine, and small amounts of dopamine. These hormones are the major players in our fight or flight response. This is also known as our sympathetic nervous system. Epinephrine and norepinephrine are secreted in response to stress and enhance our survival mechanisms. When we are in this sympathetic response, our parasympathetic system is turned off. This system is also known as the rest and digest system. It is imperative that these systems are balanced and that neither is overworked in order to have optimal health. If we are always in a sympathetic response to life, we lose resources for rebuilding our muscles, digesting food, sleeping well, and reproducing. This puts us at a very high risk for developing diseases. The master compound that is used by the body to produce cortisol and progesterone is called pregnenolone. Pregnenolone can either create cortisol, progesterone, or DHEA. DHEA is used by the body to produce testosterone and estrogen. When the body is under chronic stress, there is a high demand to produce cortisol, which reduces the amount of progesterone and DHEA that is produced. This means that our sex hormone levels will start to drop in response to chronically elevated levels of cortisol. The adrenal glands are overstressed by a number of different chronic lifestyle factors, including the things seen on this list and more. Dips in blood sugar cause the body to respond by secreting cortisol in order to keep blood sugar up. Avoiding blood sugar fluctuations is key for restoring adrenal health. Food sensitivities, gut inflammation, autoimmunity, and infections elicit an immune response and create a heavy toxic load for the liver. This also evokes a cortisol response and can eventually lead to adrenal fatigue. Nutritional deficiencies result in impaired chemical and physical processes. That means that all the functions will slow down and become impaired. So that means toxin buildup, faulty organ function, and more stress on the body. So there we go with cortisol again. Cortisol is released to try to down-regulate the inflammation and bump up blood sugar to provide energy to overcome these issues. Our mental and emotional state is every bit as important as nutrition, working out, and decreasing exposure to environmental stressors. It is so important that we take time to sort through our feelings, love ourselves, get away from excessive negativity, and are content with our lives in every circumstance. Mental and emotional stress also induces a large stress response that can result in adrenal fatigue. Lastly, bad posture and ligament damage impairs the brain's ability to communicate with our organs effectively. Even a slightly pinched nerve that does not feel painful can slow down the communication process and result in slower functioning. As stated before, this is a stressful situation for the body and it responds as such. The body perceives and adapts to stressors through what is called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, better known as HPA axis. The hypothalamus senses environmental conditions and sends corticotropin-releasing hormone to stimulate the pituitary gland, which is our master hormone gland. The pituitary then releases adrenal corticotropic hormone to stimulate the adrenal glands to produce the appropriate responses to the environmental stimuli. When we are under chronic stress, it creates an alteration in the HPA axis, which reduces the body's ability to adapt to new stressors. This is known as adrenal fatigue. This can lead to a vicious cycle of chronic inflammation, tissue breakdown, and accelerated aging. All right, next let's discuss the phases of adrenal fatigue. The article that I attached to this video breaks this down into 7 stages, but I won't bore you with in-depth details. I will keep this simple today. So the first stage is known as the alarm reaction. This occurs when there are increased levels of perceived stress, and the adrenal glands respond by secreting elevated levels of cortisol in order for the body to adapt to that perceived stress. This is considered normal when there is a high amount of stress present. The second phase is where the body adapts to prolonged stress. Cortisol levels will fall back into the normal levels, but this is where the pregnenolone still that we discussed earlier comes into play. This stage is known as the compensatory phase. Pregnenolone is stolen from cholesterol to make more cortisol. So we may see normal cortisol levels, but decreased levels of pregnenolone and DHEA. This leads to hormonal imbalances due to the lack of pregnenolone present to make sex hormones. Over time, this can cause PMS, infertility, male menopause, and polycystic ovarian syndrome. The last phase is known as exhaustion. This is when the adrenals are unable to adapt to stress anymore. They are just totally wiped out. Cortisol and sex hormones are both low now. The body is unable to produce adequate amounts of energy. Fatigue, accelerated aging, and the breakdown of the body's protective barriers, such as the skin, the blood-brain barrier, and the gut barrier, all begin to settle in. Overcoming adrenal fatigue takes time and dedication, but it is so worth the effort. By using the strategies you see here, you can restore your adrenal health and get your energy back, restore your sleep, fix your cravings, and overcome disease. An anti-inflammatory diet is going to consist of a lot of good quality fats such as avocados, coconut oil, ghee, olive oil, etc. There should also be a lot of nutrient-dense and non-starchy vegetables and herbs included in your diet. Fruit should be limited to only a serving or 2 throughout the day, and foods such as grains, starches, sugars, refined carbohydrates, and processed foods should be eliminated. This reduces the toxic load on the body and helps regulate blood sugar. Now, with adrenal fatigue, you have to be careful with not getting enough carbs. So I know that I said only a serving or 2 of fruit, but really you need to gradually get to this point. So if you need a little bit more fruit to get you to this point, that's what you should do. It's all on a case-by-case basis. Everybody handles this differently. Deep breathing helps put the body into parasympathetic mode and promotes good digestion, sex hormone production, and cell repair. Zinc, B vitamins, and magnesium are all important for regulating the immune system, creating healthy cells, promoting good cell detoxification and communication processes, and promoting adrenal health restoration. In other words, you need zinc, B vitamins, and magnesium, to put it simple. Dry brushing is also a mechanism that helps your skin return fluid that has accumulated in the lymphatic system. It returns it back to the liver and heart so that it can be detoxified appropriately. A lot of times whenever we don't have the muscle strength, or we're not active, or we have poor blood sugar regulation, we can get fluid accumulation in our lymphatic system, and this is very toxic. It really needs to be returned back to the liver so that our body can take care of it. Hydration is one of the most important things you can do for all areas of your health, including adrenal support. Spending time outside and getting in touch with nature helps put the body into parasympathetic mode and increases anti-inflammatory processes. Go outside, touch trees, touch the grass, wiggle your toes on the ground, and just take it in. Deep breathe and take in the nature. It is so good for you. Caffeine and sugar should be avoided when someone has adrenal fatigue due to the overstimulating effects and crashes of blood sugar that results. This is very stressful on the adrenal glands. Healing your gut lining is an extremely important part of the process of healing your adrenal glands. When the gut lining is impaired, this results in increased toxin buildup, and the body perceives this as a threat. So you'll constantly have an influx of cortisol circulating. Following an anti-inflammatory diet for starters is key, but then progressing to a food elimination diet can help repair the gut lining and decrease perceived stress. When we eliminate processed foods that contain high amounts of sodium, salt to our diets, Using pink Himalayan salt adds back in minerals that table salt is lacking, as it has not been overly processed. Using salt in meals and in water can really help with sugar cravings and support the electrolyte and fluid balance. So once again, pink Himalayan salt is the type of salt that you want to be using. There are many other strategies for healing the adrenal glands that we can discuss in another video on another day. Today, I just wanted to focus on what the adrenal glands are and what the phases of adrenal fatigue are so that you can understand maybe why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. All right, this slide shows a sample test of our comprehensive hormone panel. This test can be found at drjockers.com, and you can click on the link that says lab testing and then male or female comprehensive hormone panel. This is a saliva test, and all that you have to do is spit into a little sample cup 4 times in a day. This will look at cortisol levels and their fluctuations. For instance, this one here seems to have a high cortisol level in the morning in relation to the levels that we see in the noon and evening times. This can reflect someone who is very busy in the mornings and is pumping out cortisol in order to take care of everything, and or someone who has blood sugar drops during the night and the body pumps out cortisol to stabilize blood sugar overnight. So this means that your cortisol levels are going to be high in the morning. This nighttime cortisol is really low and shows that this person is starting to crash. They are not technically in adrenal fatigue yet, but they are heading that way. This test also looks at the main sex hormone levels and ratios. We can detect estrogen dominance as well as amounts of DHEA, progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen present. This can tell us a lot about a person and help guide us in the right direction for diet, lifestyle, and supplement changes. This slide just shows myself and Dr. David Jockers. He is the owner and operator of Exodus Health Center in Kennesaw, Georgia, as well as drjockers.com. I am his functional nutritionist, and I help people interpret their labs and make changes in their lives to overcome diseases. Our goal is to educate the community and provide people with the resources that they need to take responsibility for their health. If you are interested in a consultation, a test, or have any questions at all, please feel free to email me at nutrition@drjockers.com. I would love to hear from you. Again, the email was nutrition@drjockers.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you have a great day.